Good morning and welcome again to Brookside's Daily Devotions. Thank you very much for joining me again. My name's Stanley. I wonder if you've carried one of these around for a little while in life. A backpack, probably packed to the top, completely full, and rather burdensome on you. As the day goes on, you get a little bit wearisome carrying this thing that starts to feel heavier as the day goes on. And maybe you go shopping, and maybe you've been out shopping and you go in for a few things into the supermarket. And of course you pack a bag and then you find out you need two bags. And by the time you're going out the door of the supermarket, you find out that the two arms are just been dragged almost along the ground by the weight of what you've bought from the supermarket. Far too much, overflowing, a burden. You're wanting to set it down. Four men came along with their friend and brought him to Jesus and Capernaum. We pick up the story today in Mark chapter 2. Again, if you have a Bible, why not join me with this? And these four men were burdened for their friend. Their friend was sick, he was paralyzed, and they want to bring him to Jesus. And of course, what happens here, it says, and when they could not get near him because of the crowd couldn't get near Jesus, they removed the roof above him. You'd hardly want somebody removing the roof above you today. You can imagine the ceiling coming through. But they removed the roof above where Jesus was speaking in this house that was crowded. And they let down the man who was paralyzed, and they laid him at the feet of Jesus. I wonder today, have you burdens? We all have burdens in life. Maybe today some of your burdens are maybe you're sick or you know that someone is sick. Maybe today it's sadness in your life, loneliness, unemployment, so many different things that can bring a burden to us in life. Relationships that have broken down, all sorts of things. And what do we do with our burdens in life? These people knew what to do with the burden of this man. No doubt this man had tried everywhere else. He had exhausted all other avenues. And his four friends took him and left him at the feet of Jesus. Where else could we go to find peace and comfort and one to love us and care for us like Jesus? In this story, it goes on to say, when Jesus saw their faith, verse 5, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Quite amazing, this man came for one thing, to be healed, and ended up in the midst of a story about having his sins forgiven. I'm wondering today, is your burden sin? Is your burden today carrying around sin that you've carried around for years and you've never had it forgiven? You've never been to Jesus. You've never come to Christ as yet. Can I encourage you to not only think about it, but to do something about it, to come to Christ today, to bring that burden, that backpack, that thing that is on your back, that thing that is dragging you down, the sin that is in your life. And even as a Christian today, is there sin there? Is there something in my life today? Is there something in your life today that's keeping us from Jesus, that's distracting us, leading us in another direction? And we know that we need, by his grace, to come to him and seek his forgiveness and set our burdens down. Now, some of the scribes were sitting there questioning in their hearts, why does this man speak like that? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone? And in the midst of this story, Jesus is about to prove who he really is. And immediately Jesus, perceiving in his spirit that they thus questioned within themselves, said to them, "Why do you question these things in your heart? Which is easier to say to the paralyzed man, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Rise, take up your bed and walk'?" And of course, the easier thing would be to say your sins are forgiven. But in this instance, Jesus turns round and he says, "But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." He said to the paralytic, "I say to you, Rise, pick up your bed, and go home. And he rose, and immediately picked up his bed, and went out before them all, so that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, We have never saw anything like this. He had come looking healing, or his friends had brought him for physical healing, but he ended up with spiritual healing. And sometimes the things we go through in life, God is leading us through those things to bring us to another point. Maybe we're in a situation that is sad or difficult, but he's bringing us to a point spiritually also to seek him, to come before him. Really encourage you today to seek out Christ. And it says here in 1 Peter 5 and 7, cast all your anxieties, cast all your cares upon him, because he cares for you. Know today the Christ who loves you. Know today there is one who will share and walk with you and be with you in the midst of the burdens of this life. Days are filled with sorrow and care. Hearts are lonely and dreary. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Jesus is very near. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Calvary, Calvary, that's the cross. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Jesus is very near. May you know today that nearness of Christ in your own life. And may we all bring our friends to the feet of Jesus. May we be encouraged to do that even today, to bring others to Jesus. Maybe we can't do other things for them. Maybe we can't heal them. Maybe we can't help them. But we can, by prayer, bring them to Jesus even now. Thank you very much for listening.